My bird controlling business actually started out with me just being a falconer and companies asking me to use my falcons to chase birds off site. So as you can see at the bottom, there are over 10 newspaper and magazine articles and 3 TV documentaries have been done on my bird controlling business. My business started because many of the products in the world sold for bird control do not actually work, or they have a limited functionality or how well they work. As you can see, here are two of the biggest bird controlling companies that sell products internationally. Some of their products work, but you also need to know how to use and execute their products. I've also been asked to work at many places that have these flashing mirrors. You have to do something to birds, otherwise they get used to flashing mirrors or certain products that do nothing to them. As you can see, this bird is actually preening next to this flashing mirror. It might work for a few weeks, but then they see, oh well, this doesn't do anything to them. As you can see, these two birds sitting here also preening their feathers while they're next to this bird deterrent device. Here's a site I started working at that used spikes. As you can see, I say spikes without a monthly service doesn't work, as spikes cause some of the birds to move from one part of the building to the other. This bird has actually nestled its way between the spikes, but what these products do is they just move the birds around the same site. You need a monthly service. The same thing with netting. Netting works at certain areas, but the birds that have been kept out, where they're going to sit. So as I said here, netting without a monthly service doesn't work, as netting causes the same birds to move from one part of the building to another part. You also have to get rid of the birds with a monthly service, as well as come monthly to get any new birds away. Using falcons and eagles to chase birds off site is obviously very effective. Birds are terrified of eagles and falcons. It's like people swimming at a beach and a 5-meter great white shark comes in. Everyone leaves the beach and no one wants to come back to that beach again. We've also made and modified drones into falcon hunting drones. You get robotic falcons as well, which work very well because on many sites birds are out in the day feeding and only come in at last light and then sleep on site and leave at first light in the morning. So there is no daylight for the falcons to work in at some sites. You have to work in the dark and at night. And this is where falcon hunting drones work very well. Robotic birds. You can see I wrote there, these specific scaring drones look like and fly like raptors, terrifying birds away. You can also play the hunting calls of falcons off these drones with speakers. As you can see I wrote there, these specific bird scaring drones look like normal drones, but they play the audio of hunting raptors and the distress calls of captured birds, terrifying birds away. Imagine people camping in the bush in some national park and someone's got a tape recorder with a big speaker there playing a lion roaring. The people will be trembling of terror in their tents. So you can see me there with experimentation of bird distress callers. Look at this next video clip of the hunting calls of falcons and hawks being played, as well as the distress calls of birds and how these birds fly away. They're terrified by this. Here you can see me flying and chasing birds off with a falcon hunting drone at a big factory in Durban. They're absolutely terrified of this falcon hunting drone. Here I'm searching for more birds across the roof. 1 or 2 birds are left over, I think on that green roof there. So I'm heading off to there. And as you can see, there they fly. And here I'm actually chasing away not just pigeons, but Egyptian geese. One of the last pieces of this video clip will show Egyptian goose ducking for cover and being terrified away. So it works for all kinds of birds. This is another big factory in the Western Cape. As you can see, I'm scanning for birds on the roof, and there they go, terrified of the falcon hunting drone. I also work at silo complexes all over the country. Obviously, these complexes can attract thousands of birds. Watch the falcon hunting drone chasing birds off site. Here's a list of some of my cherished clients. I've obviously got a lot more clients now. I do no aggressive or formal marketing. Almost all new business that I get is from word of mouth of people referring me to other clients, and this is the way I like it. Your work must be your greatest marketing tool, the excellence of your work. There's also no risk for you to get us to start on site, as you will pay nothing till the first month of work is done, and we've proven at least a 90% reduction on the bird population. If you're not happy with the results, you can just stop the service there and you would have paid nothing. We pride ourselves with detailed feedback to the clients. Here's an example of our monthly report with population statistics and how it's decreasing, as well as species composition and manure spot analysis. How much manure is on site, how many manure spots there are, because this is a critical part of bird control. We also have a detailed WhatsApp group where we send videos and photos of our work on each visit, and the clients can give feedback on those groups. Something that makes our business very unique is my involvement with Stellenbosch University's engineering department. As you can see the photo there, it is a huge faculty. In fact, they've been involved with launching satellites. The technology I have built up there regarding bird control in ultrasonic sound, shock tracks, employing people in the engineering department has produced so many unique products for bird control. What the university engineering departments helped me build is also electric doors. It started with them. As you can see, a team of mine is installing an automatic door here, because the bottom line is people actually don't want birds to come in. So we are working on sealing off the buildings with electric automated doors, sealing off corners, making sure that the whole building is bird free and bird tight so no birds can come in. See this prototype of ours working on a site in Cape Town. It is a fine mesh covering, a fine netting covering. A person can even make it even finer to keep out insects and even dust off site. This automatic door has been a huge success because, as you know, strip curtains break quickly under usage of forklifts or trucks. Something we can also quote for is sealing up tiny holes. Often people that do bird proofing are builders or structural workers. They're not bird experts, so they don't seal off the tiniest little holes. Something else we started doing as well is covering roofs and whole courtyards with specialized netting so that birds can't sit there or even sit on the netting. It's important to cover it with the right type of netting, because the wrong type of netting with small holes, birds actually sit on that and mess through that. Specialized netting with bigger holes, birds can't sit on that. That is very important. We started doing bigger structures. A lot of our projects have actually got quite big now, where big areas are being covered off by our netting. At five-star hotels or very upmarket residences, we've developed bird grid lines, which look really good and fit in with the aesthetic look of the building and don't stand out as netting sometimes does, which clients at these expensive places do not want to use. We've also worked on a much more aesthetically pleasing system than bird spikes. These angular systems cover off windowsills so that birds can't sit there and look much neater and nicer. Stellenbosch University has helped me a lot at the engineering department with the shock track systems. These are systems that carry a light electrical shock that do not burn birds or animals. They're used for racehorses as well and cattle, but give them enormous fright so that once they sit there, they get such a terrible fright they never want to come back, and the whole building becomes a danger zone for them. I got my saffron trapping permit, where you use specialized mist netting to capture birds. As you can see, this bird flies into the netting and is caught because birds cannot see this kind of netting. This is used by nature conservation to capture and ring birds, so we've used it extensively in bird control. As you can see, you put out the netting like that and then put it on specialized poles which are attached to big magnets that you can then attach to the steel roof beams and then trap the birds as you chase them around, and they fly into this netting, and you can capture the birds out of a building or in a warehouse fairly quickly. We've done extensive work on trapping birds and have very successful programs that have worked very well. Many people ask what we do with the babies or chicks that we find. These are reared in rehabilitation centers. I got a center at my house, and these babies are reared and released back into the wild as companies have environmental policy, and we also have to fit in with nature conservation's rules and regulations. We obviously have extensive permits like my A-grade falconry permit, which takes about 5 years to get that kind of competence. So it's not just about getting permits, it's about being classified and graded over years to be able to get those permits.